Pinocchio, retold from the Carlo Collodi original by Tania Zamorsky, illustrated by Lucy Carvino, Sterling Children's Books, New York. Chapter 3. On new feet, Pinocchio sets off to school. With his belly full, Pinocchio could now concentrate entirely on and cry about his poor burnt feet. To punish him for his bad behavior, Geppetto let Pinocchio cry for a while. Finally, he said, "I could make you new feet, but why should I? So you can just run away again?" "I won't run away," Pinocchio said, sniffling. "I'll be good from now on. I'll go to school and do my homework. I will learn a trade and take care of you in your old age. I promise." Geppetto tried to look stern, but his eyes filled with tears. He couldn't stand to see Pinocchio suffer. So, taking his tools and 2 pieces of wood, he got to work. A few minutes later, 2 beautiful new wooden feet sat on the table. They were even stronger and faster than the first pair. Taking a bit of glue, Geppetto attached the new feet to Pinocchio's burned stumps. He did this so skillfully you could barely tell that the legs were not made from 2 solid pieces of wood. Whole again, Pinocchio immediately leaped off the table and started to skip and jump around. "To show you how grateful I am," he cried, "I am going to use my new feet to run straight to school. But first I need some new clothes." Poor Geppetto had no money for new clothes, so he made his son a stylish suit of pretty paper. Taking some tree bark, he made a sharp pair of shoes. Finally, with a bit of bread dough, he made Pinocchio a dashing little cap. "Why, I look like a proper gentleman," Pinocchio cried as he admired himself in the mirror. "But there is one important thing I still need." "What is it?" Geppetto asked. "A workbook to learn my ABCs. Geppetto realized Pinocchio was right. "I have no money," he said sadly, "and a workbook is not as easy to make as a cap." Pinocchio's face fell. Seeing Pinocchio look so disappointed was very hard for Geppetto. He quickly pulled on his old coat and left the house. A few minutes later, Geppetto was back. In his hands as a workbook, but he was no longer wearing the old coat. Instead, he stood in his short-sleeved shirt. "I was hot," Geppetto explained, shivering violently. "Oh, father," Pinocchio said, realizing that Geppetto had sold his coat for the book. Running over to his father, Pinocchio kissed him again and again. The next morning, Pinocchio couldn't wait to go to school. He was so excited about all of the things he was going to learn. "Soon I will be smart enough to earn a lot of money and buy my father a new coat. And it won't be just any old coat. It will be a gold and silver coat with diamond buttons." Even as the thought this, though, he heard the sounds of pipes and drums coming from a distance. "Peep, peep, peep," the pipes and drums called. "Bum, bum, bum, dum, bum." Pinocchio hesitated. He had promised to go to school, but the sounds were so tempting. How could he resist finding out where they were coming from? He decided he couldn't stay anyway from the music. "I'll go to school tomorrow," he told himself. "What's one more day?" On his brand new feet, Pinocchio ran toward the sounds until he reached a large plaza. There he saw a tiny wooden building painted in brilliant colors. "What's in there?" Pinocchio asked a little boy standing next to him. "Can't you read?" the boy asked, pointing to a sign on the door. Having skipped school, however, Pinocchio couldn't. Not today, he replied. It says Great Puppet Theater, dummy, the boy said, and the show is about to start. Other puppets just like him putting on a show. Pinocchio was crazy with curiosity. How much is a ticket? He had asked 4 pennies, but Pinocchio didn't have even 1 penny. Will you lend me the money? Not today, the boy replied. I'll sell you my coat. And what would I do with your paper coat? The boy scoffed. When it rains, it will turn to glue. I'll sell you my shoes, Pinocchio said, trying again. For what? The boy replied. To light a fire with. What about my hat? Pinocchio asked. That might be all right if my pet mouse needs a snack. Pinocchio took a deep breath. He was only one other thing he had to offer, but could he, after his freezing cold father had made such a worm-loving sacrifice? Pinocchio decided he could. I will sell you my brand new workbook, he said. The boy refused, but an old man sitting nearby heard the offer and accepted. He knew that he could sell the book to buy a nice new coat for himself. Pinocchio quickly made the exchange. With the pennies in his hand and his father's scrappies already forgotten, he ran toward the theater's entrance to buy a ticket. When Pinocchio entered the theater, the show had already started. 2 puppets named Harlequin and Punchinello were on stage, acting out a fight. They punched each other and called each other names, while the audience pointed and laughed. Suddenly, Harlequin stopped talking and pointed up to the audience. He had spotted Pinocchio. Punchinello saw him as well. There's a puppet in the audience, she screamed, sitting like a proper person. When the other puppets heard this, they all came streaming on stage to see. Come join us, Harlequin shouted. With a giant leap and one helpful bounce of the ostrich leader's head, Pinocchio landed on the stage. Oh, how the puppets embraced their puppet brother! The audience, however, was angry that the play had been interrupted. They began to yell and grumble, demanding their money back. Hearing the commotion, the theater director came out of his office. He was terribly scary looking, with a long black beard and a pair of mean eyes that growled like 2 red coals. In his huge hairy hands, he held a long whip made of green snakes and black cats' tails twisted together. He swung the whip through the air and threw it away. The puppets froze, trembling like leaves in a violent storm. The show must go on, the director yelled, and the puppets immediately went back into the character. Pinocchio started to walk away, too, but the director grabbed him by the collar. Not so fast, he said. You caused me quite a bit of trouble today, and you are going to have to pay for it. The director hung Pinocchio up on a nail by the back of his coat. The puppet wiggled like a worm. After the curtain went down, the director walked back into the theater's kitchen, where a leg of lamb, his dinner, was slowly roasting on a spit. Although it was still only morning, the leg was so big that it needed to cook all day. But the fire underneath the lamp was dying. The director needed more wood to finish cooking his food. He liked his lamp well done. The director told Harlequin and Punchinello to take Pinocchio down off the nail to bring him to the kitchen. The 2 theater puppets obeyed. Oh, someone help me, Pinocchio cried as they presented him to the director. I don't want to die. My poor father will be heartbroken. The director hesitated, thinking about the fact that the piece of wood intended for the fire had a father. The director found it hard to throw it in the pit. He imagined how sad Geppetto would be and let Pinocchio go. All of the puppets breathed a sigh of relief, but there was still the matter of the director's half-cooked lamb. You, he cried, pointing to the Harlequin instead. You'll do. The director moved to throw the other puppet on the fire. Wait! Pinocchio cried, surprising everyone, most especially himself. Throwing himself at the director's feet, he begged him to take pity of Harlequin. Take me instead, he cried. Everyone waited, holding their breath. On fire. Oh, fine, the director finally said, striking. I suppose tonight I shall have to eat my lamb raw. What a relief!